Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, I heard that.
This is Kara, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't hear Jill. Can you hear Jill?
No, I can't hear Jill.
Okay, I can't either. She's talking. I see her lips.
Yep.
Hey, Jill, can you hear me? I can hear you still. Kira, you can still hear me?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
How about now?
Say it again.
I can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Oh, good. Okay.
Oh, I hear that.
Okay. All right. So everybody's okay. I'm just going to mute you guys, if that's all right. Well, unless you don't mind chatting amongst yourselves. I don't mind.
You're a small picture though, and I have a big picture, Kira.
Okay, let me. Oh, well.
Nothing wrong with that, Kira. Just saying.
No, you have to set it to whether you want the speaker to be showing on your thing or if you want the participants, or sorry, the host.
How do I do
But
that?
but now I don't see Jill at all.
Okay.
I see a little box.
Yeah, hold on.
A little box with you, then I see a big you.
Okay, hold on. And you see a big Kara. Now, hold on. There's always something. Chris, do you know anything?
Well, I see a box that says connecting to audio, so I don't know if that was your old way that you were trying to talk to us, but
Yeah.
and so now that
a small picture of me. And
yeah, I
that's
see no picture of you.
Okay.
I see a little baby picture.
Oh, rats. Okay, hold on. Let me try that. No. Where? Oh, see, I'm trying to get to that. Hold on, guys.
Okay, your picture just showed again.
Okay. How about
As
now?
your headshot.
I don't see any picture.
That's so weird. Okay, hold on a sec here, guys. Bear with me. Maybe. Here, do you want to? My tech person's going to try to fix it. While my Chris here is working on it, and you can't see me. Sorry about that. We'll get that fixed in a second. I just wanted to say thank you guys for coming. And I also wanted to welcome especially the Creative KickstART members. And Susan, I know you're there. Chris is there. And Kara, we're glad you're able to join us. And we've got a couple other people that we're supposed to meet, and their kids were going to be coming on too. So I'm glad to have everybody coming. Almost there. No. Okay, well, we'll just, I'm going to keep talking because I want to make sure. Yeah, we got to get rid of that thing. There. Front camera. No. Okay, there I am.
Oh, there you are.
Is it big enough or is it still little?
No, it's big.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
Big for me.
All right, success. Every time we do this, I swear there's always something. Me and technology, I don't know what it is. But anywho, thanks you guys for coming. As you can see behind me, this is the painting we're going to do right here, as you all know. So hopefully you guys have gotten your paints, and I just want to make sure you all know you don't have to use a super expensive paint. I've got a wide range of paint. I've got something from Plaza Artists. I've got something from Michaels. I've got the Liquitex. I've got all the different painting we're going to do right here. Yep. Hey, Chris, what's up? Oh, Yeah, hold on a second. Okay, so I'm going to keep going. So what I also want to do is make sure you have some brushes. Make sure you have all your brushes. I've got a variety here. A fan brush, I've got a filbert, I've got the whole wide range. But frankly, whenever I talk about brushes, I tend to just say get the pointy brush or the big fat brush, that sort of thing. So you also want to make sure you have a little bit of water. If you haven't gotten that, get a little cup of water so you can rinse your brushes out as we go. Also make sure you have a rag, paper towels, something like that. That works as well. I'm probably going to use this little palette here because, as you can tell, it's well worn and I've used it a lot. Okay, so far everybody good? Okay, so this painting that I did originally is, I think it's about an 18 by 24. And what we're going to do is we're going to use, well, I'm going to use an 8 by 10. And as I said, if you don't have the right canvas, don't worry about it. You can use a piece of paper, something smaller, whatever you have will be fine. The other thing I also wanted to let you know is if you guys do have a palette knife, use this little palette knife too. Once you get to the big flowers, we'll do that as well.
I don't have one. What can I use instead?
You know, it's funny, Susan. You could also use like a butter knife, you know, something. I know it sounds crazy, but you could
A what knife?
a butter knife.
I'll go get it. Cool.
Yeah, get a butter knife, one that's kind of like cheap and maybe a little flexible. But just know we'll just be practicing with it. And if you don't use your palette knife, that's okay. Not to worry. All right, so the first thing you want to do is we're going to do the sky. So you want to get your white. So get a little white. I always tap it like that so it gets all the air bubbles out. Okay.
It's
Put
white.
a little white down. And then you want to get a little tiny bit of blue. And if you have like a dark blue, just a tiny little bit will do. If you can see that right there, just a tiny little bit, okay? I'll put that over there. And then I'm gonna get the really big brush, the big floppy brush here. And let me know if you guys can't hear, if you can't see, if you have any questions, we're good. So you wanna take your brush. One of the bigger brushes is good and wet it a little bit, just a tiny bit of water. One thing I wanna make sure is that you don't oversaturate the canvas, okay? And when I say that, I mean, if it's really runny, the paint's not gonna be able to dry that quickly. So you wanna dip your brush into the white and into the blue. So there's a really nice, soft baby blue, but very, 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 very light. Can you guys see that okay? Then remember, you wanna orient your canvas this way, okay? Because as you notice, the sky is going back and forth here. So what we want to do is just do some brush strokes, just back and forth like this, okay? You're just going to just take your brush and cover the whole canvas. Now, if you have a really huge canvas, you can use a big one, small one. But what I want you to do is see how light that is? It's pretty light. But in fact, I think it should be a little lighter. So I'm going to take a little bit more white on my brush. No need to rinse it out. And just add in just a little bit more white. So it's very light. Okay. So it's a nice thin coat. Okay. And just, can you hear that noise? It sounds a little bit like, what I'm going to call it is dry brush. You almost want to take the excess paint and rub it off on the canvas, okay? So just kind of smear it all in there, right? So see how that is right there? Okay. All right. So kind of let it dry a little, okay? Put it down, rinse out your brush, okay? Get all that paint out of there, okay? And a lot of times when I do this, I just kind of take all the white, the excess white out. Take your rag, paper towel, whatever, and get that brush all cleaned off, okay? You don't want to have anything on there. And so what I'm going to do too, I know you guys know that we're working with acrylics and they dry really fast, but I'm going to work on the sky now, but now we're going to work on the bottom part. We're going to work on the green, and then we're going to go back up to the sky, because what I don't want to have happen is the paint to kind of run because it's so wet. Okay. Oh, it's hard to see the blue. Yeah. It is kind of hard to see the blue, and I'm sorry about that. I'm trying to see how you can see the blue a little bit better. But really what I did do is I took that color and I brought it all the way down. We're going to try to fix the lighting. Oh, that lighting's a little better. Can you guys see the blue a little bit better? Little? Yeah.
It's really light.
It's very light, but I want to keep it light, Susan, just for now, because we're going to build up the color. All right. So then what I want you to do is I want you to get, this is technically, I believe it's called a filbert brush. It's a little bit rounded at the top. I want you to get that brush, kind of think about it. Don't use it yet, but what I want you to do is get your greens out. So get green, maybe a little bit of brown. If you have brown, so green, little brown. We're going to work on the grass, and then we're going to go back to the sky. And I know, Susan, that was one of your questions. It is pretty light, but that's all right. We're just gonna keep it light, and we're going to build it up a little bit. Okay. So right now what I'm doing is I am taking a couple different greens and some brown, and I'm putting it on this palette here. Okay. And then I've got some yellow. I'm going to add the yellow next to the green, just kind of squirt that out. Okay. So right now, all I did was I put a little green and a little brown and a little yellow, all in like a little pile here. Okay. So far, so good. And back to that little filbert brush. Okay, that little one with the little round top. Get it, put it in the water. Get the little tip of the brush just a little bit wet. Okay. And then you're going to dip it into a little bit of the brown and a little of the green. Okay. And again, if you don't have all these colors, don't worry about it. So remember, here's our sky up here. Okay. So I'm going to start at the bottom, and I'm just going to go like this all the way across the bottom. See how I'm doing it there? All the way across. It's really dark. Okay. You want the darkest green down here. Okay. Now, here's the deal. I tend to not do the edges right at this point. See how it's kind of blank right here? Because I don't want, the second you do that, it starts getting on you. Hopefully you guys have aprons on, okay? Because if you're working with acrylic paints, it'll come out, but it's never a good idea to get paint on you. Okay, so I then dipped my brush and I put it in a little brown, okay? So just kind of go over that green with a little bit of brown, so it's nice and dark. See how dark it is? And it's just a short little line down at the bottom, okay? Just a little line, because if you notice, see how it's really dark down here? We're just kind of starting to get that base of dark down there, okay? Okay. You have the green left over on your brush. We haven't rinsed it out yet, okay? I'm a big believer of kind of layering the paint on the brush and just kind of using what you have. So what you want to do now is dip that brush. It already has the green and the brown in it, and add a little bit of yellow to it, okay? So see, it's just kind of on top. Little green, little yellow, all mushed on the top, okay? So now what you're going to do is you're going to take those blades of grass up. So I'm going right on top of the dark green, and I'm pulling it up, okay? We're going right up. Everybody doing okay so far?
It's taking me longer, so
That's all right. That's right. And the cool
trying
thing,
to.
I'm recording this, so if it takes you a little bit longer, you can always go back. Okay, so I'm just gonna take a little break so you guys kind of catch up. Okay. I'm gonna unmute a couple other people. Chris, are you there? Yeah. Kara. Okay. You still see me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you got a little bit of grass. How's the grass coming? Good? Yeah. Okay. Let me see if I can get the chat on, because I want to see if you guys have any questions. So if you know, you can always type in questions if you're a little shy and don't want to ask. Okay.
I need better brushes. My brushes don't.
Well, that's a good, that's something
Maybe
to think about.
pave.
If you're gonna do it for, if you're thinking about doing it a little bit more often, get a brush. And here's a good test to see, as you guys are painting your grass, here's something to think about. When your brush, when you tap it on your hand, and if it's kind of stiff, you want it to be a little stiff, especially when you're working with acrylics. So you just kind of give it that tap test. If you've got a brush that really gets mushes down, that's not a sign of a great brush. The other thing, the cheaper brushes, what they'll do too is leave like little hairs, and that's a pain, okay? That's not what you really want.
Do you think you do a post later, Jill, of like good brands?
Yes, yes, yes. I'll do like a good, bad, and ugly.
Okay,
What
good.
brushes do you use? And it's funny you say that, because a lot of times I've found it's sad because little kids, they'll get usually the cheapest brushes possible because, their mom doesn't, their dad doesn't want to invest in a lot, right? I get that. But what happens is that they get so disappointed because the brushes aren't working. And then they're like, oh, I don't like to paint. And that's sad because it's just really not them. It's not operator error. It's actually the equipment. So, okay. So are you guys done kind of getting some of that grass in there? See how I've got a little bit of yellow in there? Okay. Got a little yellow in there, right? So it's kind of, at this point, it's a little bit even going across, right? And there's a little bit of a white spot here. That's okay. I'm going to rinse out that brush. Okay, so get that green out of there. Rinse that brush really well. Okay. So now, if you have your palette knife, this is where we're going to have a little fun with our palette knife. Okay. So if you guys have ever used a palette knife, actually, let's think about it this way. Have you ever frosted a cake? Okay. If you've ever frosted a cake, think of the palette knife as if you're frosting a cake. Okay. So when you're frosting a cake, you don't come down at a hard angle. You smooth it, right? Smooth it right across the top. Okay. So what you want to do is take your palette knife and go over the white and a little bit of blue. Okay. Just a tiny bit, super light. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take my knife just at the edge of the knife. I'm just going to just introduce, like that, introduce just a little bit of yellow, just a tiny little bit of yellow, okay? But it's on the edge, okay? So then what I want you to do, you're going to take it and you're going to smear it across. Just take it and smear it across. And see how I've got this kind of line? You see it really, I don't like that very much, which is fine. I'm just going to go back in the white, okay? I'm just going to go over it. Just going to go over it, okay?
Yeah, not having a palette brush, the regular knife doesn't really do that.
Okay, okay. Well, then if you don't have one, don't worry about it. Just keep using your brush. And what you can do, Susan, what I'm going to show you here is take that big fat brush, dip it into the white and a teensy bit of yellow, okay? And we'll pretend it's a palette knife, and you're just going to smear the paint just like that. Okay, see how I'm just kind of smearing it. You're just kind of, and of course, this is not very technical, okay? We're just kind of blending it out.
And you're doing that in the sky?
Yep, doing this in the sky.
It's hard to see. Okay.
Can you see it okay? Yeah, it is. We're trying to, as we're going, we're trying to mess with the lights a little bit to see
Yeah.
what you can see. Can you see it okay? How's that? Is that better?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. I just want to make sure you can see. Once we get into the flowers, if you notice, you can really see the green down here. It's just the sky. And I think, frankly, because it's so light, the sky itself, and I did that on purpose, it's hard to see it. So why don't I add a little bit of blue just so you can see it, okay? I'm just going to squirt a little bit more blue on my palette. This might help you get a little bit more color. So you see it. You see that blue now? So I'm adding that into the sky. Okay.
Down to the grass?
Yeah, all the way down to the grass. And if you do have a palette knife, you can, and if you don't, just keep kind of smearing. But I'm going to take the white and I'm just going to go over some of that blue. See how it is? You see that?
Hmm.
And then since some of us have a palette knife and some of us don't, I'm going to show you how I do some clouds, okay? If you have a small brush, just this little brush like this, what I want you to do is dip it in the blue. I still need just a little bit more blue. You might need just a little bit more blue too. And if you have black, get a tiny bit of black. And when I say a tiny bit, I mean scant, just a teensy little bit of black, okay? So get a little tiny black on your brush. Let me show you here how little.
What size brush is it?
It's just a little tiny rounded one, just kind of a small. It's a round, called a round brush.
Mm.
So what you're going to do is you're going to take a little of the black, a little of the blue, a little of the white. You're going to mix it up. So you're trying to get somewhat of a gray blue color. Okay. And we're going to make some clouds. Okay, so here we are. I'm just going to smear in. See how I'm just kind of taking my brush and I'm wiggling it. I don't know if you can see that okay. I'm just going to take it and rub it off. Yeah. And then you get a little white. And I'm going to add the white on top. So what I'm doing is trying to get a little bit of dimension. You see how it's coming out there? Okay. You're just going to add just a little bit more white. So the whole point of this is just to kind of give the sky just a little bit of dimension there, okay? And if you notice, I still have a bit of white. Can you guys see the white down here? Yeah? I'm going to probably fill that in with just a little bit of blue. Okay, so the sky can come down into the grass. Even though it goes over the grass blades, that's all right. And sometimes you need to rinse that brush just a little bit. If your brush gets kind of stuck as you go, just add a little bit of water. And when I say stuck, it's just getting kind of stuck on the canvas, right? You just want to kind of fill in all that white, okay? So you're filling in all this. And it's going to go on top of the blades of grass. That's all right. Don't worry about it. We're going to reestablish those grass blades soon. Okay. So I'm just going to kind of slide over. So right now you've got the grass down here. Okay. I don't know if you can see it. Okay. And then you've got the sky up here. All right. And then we're going to be doing some really big cartoon sized flowers over it. Okay. So this is what we're doing now. So far you've got the grass down here, and the sky up here. Is everybody good? Hope so. I'm just going to add a little bit more white. And again, as I always say when I teach my classes, every single time I do a painting, it comes out differently, and that's what's cool about it. Like if you're doing this painting and you try to do it again tomorrow, it's going to come out completely differently. And that's, I think, what the beauty is of painting. Every single time it comes out differently. If you're feeling like you want a little extra paint one day, you throw in a little extra paint and it changes everything. All right, so we've got the sky. Now here, before you keep going, make sure you have it somewhat dry, because a lot of times people are really heavy with the paint and they put too much paint on. See, I'm going like this, and if you notice, I really don't have anything on my hands because I use just a little bit of paint. So a little bit of paint goes a long way, okay? Okay, so far. Now we're gonna go back to this rounded brush. It's got a little bit of a round top. See that one right there? And we're gonna go back into the green and the yellow, okay? You're gonna take your brush, make sure you wet it. You're gonna get a little yellow and a little green, and a tiny bit of brown. Okay? Just a little bit lighter. And mixing it on my palette here. Okay, it's right here.
Oops.
Okay, and now what I want to do is I want to bring these stems up really tall. Okay, you want to take your brush and you start down here and you come up. You take your brush and you start in the grass down here. See how I lay my brush here? And then I bring it up off the page. Here, up.
And what colors? Green, yellow, and brown?
Yep. See how I started to do that? It just kind of, you lay your brush and you just kind of have it come up off the page, right? See how it's doing that? Better to see close up that way.
Do you have to really load the brush? Mine doesn't.
Yeah, definitely load the brush up because you want it to travel.
Yeah.
You want the paint to travel up. Yes, definitely get a good amount of paint. The other tip is you want to start in the grass. So your brush, let me see if I can get it so that I can angle it. So you lay your brush flat into the base of the canvas, and then it goes up and over. Lay it down at the base, go up and over. The other thing I'd like to suggest is if you have a hard time with this, you can always use a piece of paper and just kind of get the feeling. In fact, I'll do that. I've got a spare canvas right here. So here's a blank canvas. If you want, you can just kind of practice. If you don't want, if you feel like you're worried about ruining your painting or something, just practice. So you take your brush, let that brush work with you, okay? So you can have it flat, and then notice I'm going to twist it. So when I twisted it, see what it did? I went flat, 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 twist. See how it gives it that kind of interesting sort of look. The other thing you can do, I mean, this is just practice, right? Flat, 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 and it goes straight up. Now, if you notice, I lift my brush, I go flat, 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 and then lift it off. So see how it just kind of lifts right off? But it kind of gives it that little bit of dimension there, right? Okay, back to the painting. So we've got a few blades that are coming up, and I always say start with a few blades. Don't really get too crazy with them because once you get them in there, it's kind of hard to take them out, right? You can always add more, but it's hard to take those little blades of grass out. Like I always say, it's easy to get fat, but it's hard to get skinny, right? So it's easy to have a skinny little blade and then you can make it bigger, but if you have a fat blade, then it's kind of hard to erase paint, right? So that's my little my comment for today. So everybody should be kind of around here, right? Okay. So now on this painting, I don't know if you can see it okay. I've got oranges, I've got some purples. Let's see, what else do I have in here? A little white, a little yellow. If you don't have those colors, don't worry about it. If you have red or if you have more purples, and if that's what your decor is and you want to kind of go along that route, that's fine. I'm going to show you on my practice one. Before that, let me squirt out some paint, okay? So I've got that Cad orange. So that's Liquitex Cad orange. And it doesn't have to be Liquitex. There's different types of paint. This one's heavy body. I don't know if you guys know. Heavy body is a stiffer sort of paint, right? You're gonna get a little yellow, a little orange. Put it on your palette. You should have a little yellow left from the blades of grass, so you can use that too. We also have this burnt orange color. It's a kind of a pretty color. So whenever you're doing flowers, you kind of want to think of what kind of colors are complementary. In this particular painting, I think orange and purple are a nice complement to each other. But if you wanted to do orange and blue, you could do that too. I think that would be really pretty. So this is kind of where you can have fun with it and do however you want to do it, right? Okay, so if you have a palette knife, grab it, because this is where you can have some fun. So I'm going to take, just for kicks, I'm going to take the white and I'm going to make a little pile right here. See how I did that? And I'm going to grab just a little bit of that burnt, called burnt orange. Yeah. So I'm just going to kind of make a new color. See how I made a new color right here?
What'd you add to it, purple?
I added a little burnt orange.
Ah,
Okay. See how it's just kind of like a pinky color? See that? Trying to get, we're messing with the lights, trying to get it. See if you can see that. Yeah. So the point is, the palette knife can be used to mix colors, but it can also be used to actually paint the flowers themselves. Because in this painting, I did use the palette knife to make big flowers. So again, I'm going to use my practice page just so I can show you what I'm talking about. So back to my little green stems. I'm going to take my palette knife and I'm going to get a little of the paint on here. And I'm just going to lay it and I'm just going to smear it. See how that just made that little pink mark there? I'm just going to lay it and just kind of smear it. See how it's just kind of making it look kind of pretty there? Yeah. Now, if you don't have a palette knife, you can do that too. Go back to this filbert brush. It's that little kind of rounded brush. Dip it in that color, that pinky color, or whatever color you like. Be the yellow. And you just kind of lay it and push it. You push it on your canvas, you squeeze, push down and lift off. See how I just kind of made almost like it looks like a little V, like that, okay? So I'm going to go back. I'm going to actually go back to this one, and I'm going to pick up a little yellow and a little orange. And I think a tiny, tiny little purple landed on there. The cool thing is that, again, I don't have to rinse this palette knife off. It has all the colors on it. It's got a little pink on it, a little yellow on it, and a little orange on it, and then maybe a little hint of purple, and that's okay. You're going to take your palette knife, and you're just going to lay it on the canvas. See how I just marked it like that? Lay it on the stem and just push it. See how it works? Like magic, right? It's a little magic. Okay. And then I still haven't even picked up any more paint off the palette. I'm just going to take what's on here, whatever is left. I'm just going to push. See how that little guy has just a tiny bit of orange? See that okay? Yeah. Okay. Well, right now, the one thing I want you to do is that once you get those little marks there, I want you to let it kind of dry up a little bit. The biggest problem I see with paintings is that you overmix, you add too much paint too quickly, and the art becomes muddy, okay? So, for example, this painting, if I kept going over it and over it and over it, it's going to become muddy, just like our grass down here. If I added too much brown, it's going to become muddy, okay? We're going to get this lighting right. Actually, that looks a little better, I think. How does that look? Can you see it better? Yeah?
yeah.
Okay, good. I'm going to go back into, instead of messing with my flowers, I'm going to go back into the grass a little bit more, okay? So I need a little bit more green. I'm going to squirt a little bit more green out on my palette. Right here. So I still have that brown, I still have that yellow, and I still have the green, right? So I'm going to get a smaller brush, back to this round brush. Do you see that little guy right there? I'm going to dip it in yellow and dip it into the green. And now heads up on this one, I'm going to dip it in white. So right now what I have is a new pile. I've got a little white, a little yellow, and a little green. So I'm trying to make a brighter green, okay? The one thing that you always want to do when you're painting is that If you don't have the color, I bet you can mix it with what you have, right? Take what you have and kind of mix in different colors to make one, okay? So see how I made that? It's kind of hard to see. I'm trying to see if you can see this color up here. Kind of a lighter green. Make sure you get a nice pile of it, okay? Get a little white, more white. Looking for a springy green, right? And again, if you don't have the exact colors, not to worry. If you want to use just a straight green, that's fine. I'm going to take this little brush. And what I want to do, just back to here, is I want to add some little stems so it's not so thick. And I want it just to be light. Just some light little stems. Let me see if I can get in there for you. See how I'm just doing some light little stems, just little ones. Okay. And this, we're going to go all the way up high. Okay. So I want that color to go up really high. Okay. So we're going to go all the way up. One thing that you want to be careful of is that when you're doing the flowers, you don't want it all to be even. It's more interesting if you've got different levels, right? So right now I have 1, 2, 3 flowers, and they're kind of like a little stepping stone, right? If I did 3 flowers in a row, 1, 2, 3, that would be kind of not as interesting looking, right? So right now, what I would want to do, I want to assess it and say, all right, what do we need here to give it some excitement? So I'm going to get a little purple, and I'm going to make a couple big flowers, okay? I'm going to take my palette knife again. If you don't have that, that's okay. You're going to take the purple and a little yellow, maybe a little orange, load up that palette knife. It's right there on the tip, okay? And this is where you just have to just do it. It's like jumping off. Just do it. Just kind of let it go. Okay. See how I made that mark there? It's starting to look like a purple flower. Okay. And then I'm just going to give another one, maybe pick up a little purple, and put it over here. Okay. You see how it's starting to look a bit more interesting? Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna see, do you guys have any questions? Any questions, anybody? Kara, unmute you. No? Let me know if you have any questions at all. If you feel like you're getting raced, and if you need to catch up, let me know, okay? And I hope you guys are relaxing. That's really the whole point of all this. Maybe I'm gonna do a little bit of flowers down here. But again, this is kind of all how you want it to be. I'm just going to put a little down there. Might pick up a little white. Okay. A little here. Okay. And one thing that you want to make sure when you're maneuvering around your painting is that you work on the grass. Well, first we worked on the sky, let that dry up a little bit. Then we worked on the grass and let that dry up a little bit. Then we started doing some flowers. So I like to rotate around the canvas so that one part can dry while you're working on the other part, okay? So now we haven't worked on the grass really that much. And what you want to do is kind of see, is there enough dimension? Do we want to have a little bit more brown down here? I think I need a little bit of brown. Now, when you're working on yours, you might not need that much brown, but we're going to just add a little bit down at the bottom here, okay? A little bit of brown, just to give it a little bit more dimension. And I'm using this fat brush, okay? Add a little brown and a little green, just on it, right? And just, the one thing you can do is you can use the flat part like this, or you can angle it like this. And I'm just going from the bottom to the top, bottom to the top. Okay. See how all of a sudden you're starting to get a little bit more movement? See? back to the reference here. And if you notice, there's a lot going on, and there's a couple stems that kind of turn and bend. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to get back to this brush right here, the pointy little brush. Okay. And as we go along, maybe our next time that we're meeting together online, we'll have the video a little bit better so you can see the color a little bit better, because we are a work in progress. So I appreciate your patience. Okay, hopefully you can see it well enough, right? So now what we're going to do is we're going to take the green and we're just going to kind of give it a little whip. See how I made just a little twisty one? Just to give it just a little interest. So instead of the blades of grass going straight up, a couple of them that are lighter are just going to kind of bend. See how I had them bend like that? Yep. So you just want to just kind of, and make sure it's lighter in color, right? So you want to bring that forward. Okay. Might need just a little bit more green. Kind of go over it. Right. Just twist it like that, right? Just a little here and just twist it. There you go. Got it? Okay, so we added a little bit more grass. And here's something else. I'm noticing on my painting right now that there's certain spots that you can see the canvas kind of coming through. So it almost looks like it's not thick enough in the paint, and that's okay. What we can do is just kind of go over that a little bit. So I'm just going to pick up a little tiny bit of blue on my brush. And a lot of times you need to add a little water, okay? We're going to add just a little bit of water and just cover in those spots that look like they need just a little bit of extra paint, okay? Okay, right in there. Okay, okay. Now, because the light, what we need right now is something a little brighter. So I've got this Indian yellow. It's a really pretty yellow, Indian yellow. And that's another thing I'll do is I'll give you kind of my favorite colors. If you're going to be painting with me, I'll let you know kind of what colors I really enjoy using. This color, there's something so vibrant about it. Again, it's kind of hard to see. See how pretty that is? You just need that little extra pop of yellow. So we're going to use that. And actually, I wonder if you guys have a fan brush. If you have a fan brush, that would be kind of fun to use. This right here is a fan brush, okay? So dip that fan brush in the water, get a little wet, and then we're going to dip it into that bright yellow or white. See how it's right on the tip there? Okay. So what I'm going to do, and if a fan brush is just kind of going to just give it a little, yeah, I gave it a little fluff right there. So say you've got a purple or a darker one, you're just going to kind of, I don't know what those little things are called in the flower, but those little pointy things that kind of come out if you're working with like an iris or something like that. Just want to give it a little pop. And here's the other thing. If you start giving all of them pops, then the ones that you popped look kind of dull. So you're going to start fighting with yourself. So you don't want to give it too much, right? Because then that bright pop then becomes like everybody else. You kind of want to make sure you just do a little pop here, maybe a little pop up here, so where the sun's going to hit it, right? So I haven't played around with my dark colors in a while. So now I'm going to go back and get my palette knife, and I want to see what we can do with the dark colors. I'm going to go into the purple. If you have purple, dip into the purple. And I just see how this purple is right here. I just want to kind of bring it down a little bit and settle it, okay? Just bring it down. I say settle it. I just want to make it so it doesn't look like it's floating, right? Just want to get maybe just a little purple down here, okay? You can use your palette knife, okay? And then I'm going to take a small brush, really tiny brush, okay? See that little guy, kind of small? If you notice right now, all of these flowers need they look like they're kind of stuck on top of the blade of, or the stem, I should say. And all the flowers usually have like a little, I call it a seat, a little place for them to sit, right? So we want to give them all a little seat to sit on. So that's what we're going to do now. I'm just going to give it a little seat. Okay. Just going to bring it down here. Okay. Bring it down here. So I'm going to also get my other painting so I can kind of really show you. So we're going to pretend we've got this purple right here on my brush, and this is pink. But right here, I'm just going to, just so you can see what I'm talking about, see how I put that purple right there just to kind of settle, right? I don't think I ever see a flower that has pink like that with the purple, but it actually isn't too bad. I'm just going to kind of go like that. That's the beauty of when you paint, you can make it up. You can make it up. I love making things up as I go, right? That's what makes it fun. Okay, so here we are. Okay, and we're just going to add just a little bit in here. Okay, and I'm going to add just a little purple in here. Okay, just to give it a little dimension. Okay, all right, so far looking pretty good, right? Okay, now I feel like we need a little orange, so I'm going to put a little bit of orange down. And I just, as I'm talking, I just want to say thank you so much for joining me tonight. I hope, you know, we started off a little rough with our sound, but we got there. I think next time it'll be a little bit better. And the beauty is anybody who wants to hear this video again, if you're working with, say, a really large size canvas, like if you have a really big canvas, you've got a lot more space to cover, right? And I'm only using an 8x10, so I'm kind of speeding along. So you can feel free to, I'll send you the recording afterwards so you can play around on your own, because I want to make sure that you get what you want out of this painting. I want you to really like it. And of course, on the Creative Kickstart page, ask me any questions, and I can, if you want to show me your art, I'd love to see it. And of course, if you want a little critique, I can say, hey, maybe a little orange here, maybe a purple here. But again, you have to remember, this is for fun. This is all just to have fun and to relax, right? As I say, I think painting, every time I paint, to me personally, and this is why I'd like to do it so much, it's like I call it a mini mental massage for my brain. So instead of doing yoga, I find doing painting, I should say, my joy, right? And that's what I'm trying to do right now, is just to make sure everybody knows what it's like to paint and have fun, right? So the other thing, so we're almost done, right? You might want to add a little butterfly. You could do that. Now, if you remember, I didn't do the edges yet, right? We can quickly do that, not a problem. At the base, you just want to add maybe a little brown or a little green, whatever's left over on your palette. Just kind of line it up at the bottom. See how quickly that went? Just did that right on the bottom, right? And then you want to see how on the edge there, see how the grass goes here? You want to line it right here, okay? Right on the edge. And then you want to go to the other side. Add just a little bit of green. And if there's a little orange on there, that's all right, not a problem. Okay, and maybe what you want to do to make it kind of exciting, take a little blade of grass and pretend it's going to go off the page. Because really, whenever you're painting, this is one snapshot, the art in your mind that goes off the page, right? You don't want it just to kind of stop here. You kind of consider it just kind of drifting off the page. Now, on your own, as you wrap up, you can do this end and right here and here. You can just do a little blue, so it's sky. But right now, I think that's about it. So I appreciate you coming. And if you have any questions, please let me know. And I hope this is fun for you. And again, I hope to see you on the Creative Kickstart community page after this, or the members page, whichever one, and ask me any questions you have. And I hope you have a wonderful night. Take care.